Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Relationship Essentials. I'm excited about today's episode because we have two amazing guests that's going to join us today. Before we get into today's topic, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media at Relationship Essentials. Give us a good rating on all the streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast. If you listen to it, make sure you share it, repost it. It may help us get this information out there. Our goal with this podcast is to provide the essentials people need to build and sustain a healthy relationship. All right, so today's episode, I have two good friends here. I have Abdul, CEO of Asset Nation, and we have Nkem, CEO of NXN. So they're gonna talk a little bit about your brand for a few seconds, and then we're gonna get into today's topic. Today's topic is things women do that they think is attractive, but is the turn off for men. Right? So it's gonna be spicy. So you guys wanna go ahead? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, how you guys doing? My name is Abdul Suleiman. I am the founder of the Asset Nation. It is a brand, it's a movement about just pushing your health first. I'm an educator. I'm a man of many hats, so I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, man.
My name is Kem. I have a brand, NXN, clothing, mainly hats, accessories, whatever you need. Check out our website, nxnworldwide.com.
All right. So one of the reasons why I picked y'all is because from what I've seen you post, from the conversations we've had, you're not afraid to say your mind, and you're not afraid to tell people the truth, even if they don't want to hear it. And I think instead of just me talking, it's good for people to hear from other people. As far as, for example, for women, there are some things that they might do or they've seen somebody else do. Maybe they've watched it on TV, they've seen a celebrity do it, their cousin did it, their mom did it, and now they do it, but it's the total turn off for men and they don't know. So I want us to kind of touch on a few things that they do that they should kind of stop doing. For me, one thing that I think women do that they probably think is attractive, that I don't think is attractive for men, that is a turn off for men, is someone that posts excessive nude pictures or pictures that expose their body on Instagram. And I would say that also make a lot of distinction. I've heard women say things like, oh, but men like stuff like that. Men like it, men will watch it. And yes, if a man is just looking to have sex, that is going to be attractive for him. But if a man is going to want to settle down with a woman, that is a turnoff. Because no man wants to be with a woman that is just out here flaunting everything that is eventually supposed to be his, but everybody else have access to it.
Yeah.
So that would be definitely one at the top of my list that I think, for some reason, I think because we live in a social media age, it's all about attention, followers, likes. Like people will literally post on Instagram, and sometimes if they don't get the engagement they want, they will even delete the post. So that means some people literally post for the attention, So I think because sometimes they say, okay, if I'm twerking, I get a lot more views, so let me twerk. But I don't think that is attractive for a husband. Or if you're looking for a husband, I don't think that is something that will, put you at the top of his list.
Agreed.
All right. So
To add to that, modesty is very important, especially if you're someone in a faith, right? It is very important that you carry yourself in a way that, represents you, represents God, represents just the kind of image you want to give off. So if someone is looking to be radiant, be pure, be all of these things, and your image isn't showing that, it is very contradictory and it is a turnoff. Now, granted, we live in a very vain society. Everyone is all about imagery, health, fitness. Everything is all about the way you look. So it's important to not look like everyone else. It's important to look like yourself. And people can tell when someone's being genuine or they're being themselves versus, all right, I'm going to do this because everyone else is doing this, because it doesn't fit them. So just keep that in mind.
Respect over attention.
Respect. I like that. I like that.
To sum it
Respect over
up.
attention.
Yeah.
While we were talking, I got a spicy one. I got a spicy one. Something that women do that they think is attractive but is a turn off for men. A woman that don't believe in submission. A woman that fights submission.
She don't need no man.
Something like, people that say things like, oh, she don't need no man, or a man can't do nothing for me, or like,
Yeah.
I think nowadays submission sounds like slavery, and that is not what submission is. And when a man meets a woman that just would not let him be a man, it's a turn off. It's like, I want to be a man, and me being a man doesn't mean it makes you less than who you are, but allowing that man the room to show his manhood, I think that is healthy for any relationship.
Yeah, but I don't think enough women see like the power in submission, what they get out of it. I think they see it as weakness. You know what I mean?
But the question is, why do they see it as weakness, or what is, like, I don't understand why? Because for me, right, we'll go back to the scriptures. The Bible says, wives, submit to your husbands, husbands, love the wife, right? So right there, it gives you the formula. It tells you, love the wife because that's what she needs. Then submit to the man because that's what he needs. It is literally telling you the formula. And if a woman is literally trying to find a husband, why would you go against what he needs? He needs your submission.
They don't think it works.
They don't think it works?
Because they submit to the wrong guys.
And I've heard that before. If you ask most women, right, you will hear women say things like, I believe in submission only to the right guy, right? But my problem with that is this. If you date a man, even if he's the wrong one, he's still going to demand submission.
True.
So the problem is, so if you want to submit only to the right one, then only date the right one. Because if just the way a man is wired, he's going to demand that. He's going to want to lead. So if you go and date him and you don't think he's a great leader and you don't want to submit to him, you're going to frustrate him and you're going to frustrate yourself. Yeah. Because he's going to demand. I haven't met a man that doesn't want a submissive woman. Now, I think also women think when a man wants a submissive woman, he wants a weak woman. Is that what submission means to y'all?
No, but that's how they may interpret it, you know.
So give them an example of what a submissive woman looks like.
I'm calling in that.
To go back to men wanting a woman to submit, right? Yeah. Women not submitting. I think it's just rooted in a lot of things. I think it's just rooted in the way women have been treated. So women just feel like now I have to be strong, I have to be fearless, I have to be all these things. And it takes away from the Bible's design for a household, a Christian household, right? And when you go back to that, it's Ephesians 4, it does say, right, wives submit to your husbands, but it also says there's like a whole spill after that about the way men are supposed to treat women, like respect, love, the same way Christ does the church. So I do think women struggle with that, but I do think as men too, a lot of men don't know how to lead. 100%. So if you're an alpha male, right, you're going to expect that submission, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have to know how to lead as an alpha male. Okay. Because by design, a woman is going to submit to a man that they trust, that they love, and that they feel protected too. So the women that go against that natural order, then that's a problem. That's a turnoff, right? Mm-hmm. You're doing everything right. Yeah, it's like I'm leading you in prayer. I'm leading you, and I'm doing all the things you want me to do as a man by God's design, and you still have a problem with letting power go. Mm-hmm. That's a super turnoff, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of women in the kingdom like that. But as men, too, we have to know, like, okay, submission doesn't mean power all the time. It doesn't mean control all the time. It just means that I'm leading you the way God is calling me to lead you.
I really like that, because one thing I tell my friends this sometimes, that women have been through a lot, right? And sometimes it's their own way of protecting themselves, and sometimes protecting their kids, or because if a woman have in the past seen other women submit and it came back to bite them, they're like, you know what, I'm not going down that route because it doesn't work. So just to touch on it real quick, tell us what leadership is. That way men can get more women to submit, because it is a turnoff, but we also need men to do better as far as not making submission look like you're about to like control her like she's a property, or she's just want a tool in your hands. So tell us, like, what does it mean? What is the right way to lead a woman or love a woman so she can submit? Just give like one or two examples, and we'll move on, carry on to that.
Definitely in prayer. I think, especially a Christian woman, if you know she has a relationship with God, she wants to grow in the faith, she has a lot of things she needs to work on, just leading her in prayer, leading her in a way where she can work on those things in the faith. And that would I promise you, she would submit to you right away, because now she can trust you with her vulnerability, she can trust you with her walk, with her faith, and she can trust that, you're following God's design. So if you're dating, or if you're, whatever it is you're trying to find right now, just keep that in mind, guys. And then women also, if you see a man that's willing to be like, all right, babe, let's pray about it. Or did you read scriptures, or did you talk to somebody? Any kind of spiritual guidance, that's definitely a green flag, I would say.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
I would say just leading by example. Like, you can't request something from your woman that you're not doing yourself. She's looking at you like a leader, so you have to present yourself like a leader. You have to do what leaders do, even when it's not easy. So
Now that's dope.
that's the most thing.
That's dope. Leading by example. I'll throw in a little 2 cents there, and then we can move on from that topic. Kind of similar to your line of conversation. I think women would submit more, which I talked about is in the episode of qualities of a husband. Women find it easier to submit to a man that submits to God, right? Especially in the faith. If you're a Christian woman, you believe in God, and the biggest thing is women are wired to look for security. Women are wired to look for affection. So if you submit to God, she can trust because she knows that God is good. Mm-hmm. And she knows that God's plan for her is for her to have a good life and whatever all the promises that God gives. And there's no way you can love God and you are literally trying to live a life the way God has designed you to live your life. She can now trust, for example, she can trust that you're not going to go out there and cheat on her because you're faithful to God before you're faithful to her. Mm-hmm. So I think submitting to God makes it easier for her to submit to you, because one thing that men don't realize is that sometimes the whole thing about I'm the head of the household, it becomes more of an arrogant thing than a leadership thing. Mm-hmm. Because if she can, so for me, I think about it like this. So if as a man, you want her to trust you, you want her to be able to just submit to you, then your role is to make sure that she knows that you're not drawing your authority from yourself. Mm-hmm. Because one thing which is the mindset that men have to change, women are not less than men. Like, people think because the man was created first that he's superior than the woman. But people read the scriptures wrong. The Bible says that God said, let us make them. Who is them? He's not talking about just the male. He said, let us make man, male and female, in the image of God. So that first scripture talked about creating the man and the woman. So in God's eyes, the man and the woman are equal. But many times, because of this whole submission thing, men think that they are more superior than women. But what they don't realize is they are the same. We're equal. The men and the woman are equal in the eyes of God. They've just been built to play different roles. Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree with you that we're equal, but I will say it can be a turnoff when a woman thinks she can do the things a man can do, just as if a man can't do the things a woman can do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would say it can be a turnoff when she might be overstepping or trying to play a man's role in the relationship.
You have an example of when a woman is overstepping?
Yeah, that's
I'll sound sexist. So
that's a tough one.
You're trying not to get cancer.
You're on your own with that one, bro. I don't know.
Y'all know the lines. Y'all know the lines. What men should be doing. Well, come on now. What will make your man feel like more of a man in the relationship? Y'all know what to do. But kind of changing it, but staying on topic. Something that I think is unattractive that women find attractive, and this is kind of spicy, but ladies, y'all gotta let the eyelashes go. It's getting out of control. Your eyelash can't be as long as my arm. Come on, man. Colorful
I
weaves
did
gotta
not see that
go.
coming.
Colorful weaves gotta go. Orange, pink, purple, past the age of 25.
Yo, that is funny. All right,
Get outta here.
I don't know about all that.
To cool that off, right? I guess what my brother over here is saying is to just be yourself, right? Like, love yourself, be yourself, present yourself in a way of just being confident, I guess. A guy that's secure, a guy that's gonna love you and want you for you, doesn't really care about all of the extra stuff, is what he's basically saying. So,
So let's call it what it is then.
Yeah.
Catfishing.
BBLs, man. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Because think about it, right? So like if so, all right. So this is just in line to what you were saying, right? So like being someone else, it could come off in so many ways. For example, you will have women that only post headshots,
Yeah.
and then when you meet them in person, they're not what the picture gave off. You know, their reality is not given what the Instagram, is given. Actually, I just got a good one in my head. Something that women think is a turn up. This is for my black sisters. I find a woman that don't feel comfortable wearing her natural hair. I find that as a turn off. Like if you African or if you African American and you are not comfortable wearing your natural hair, for me it's like you just said, you have to be comfortable being you.
Being yourself.
You have to be comfortable in the skin, in the hair, in the body that God have put you in.
Yeah. No.
And our differences don't make us any less than the other person.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, our differences is where we find our strength.
Yeah.
If we all try to be everybody else, then where is that unique flavor that makes humanity sweet? Where does it come from? So when I meet a woman that always have to wear weave, that doesn't feel comfortable wearing her natural hair, for me, it shows me lack of self-confidence, and it kind of shows me that you have not yet walked into you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You are still letting other people define you.
Yeah, and that goes back to me saying, so we live in a very vain society, right? Society pumps an image, and if you're not secure with who you are and how you look, then you're gonna adapt to that. And I agree, and I do think I've seen a lot more sisters wearing their natural hair, and
I encourage them to. You should
So
be proud of it. If a man don't find you attractive because of your natural hair, trust me, he's not a man.
Yeah.
He's not.
And also, too, we're not saying you can't I'm not saying you can't wear things that you feel enhance your beauty, but just know you're beautiful without them. That's pretty much.
That's the point.
That's
what I said. Be comfortable. If you can't be comfortable, that's a turn off.
Yeah.
If like how sometimes you're dating a girl, you FaceTime her, she's wearing her natural hair, and then when you FaceTime her, she's running to go and find her weave. Like, sis, it's okay. I don't mind seeing you in your natural element, because when I marry you, we are not going to be wearing weave to be going to bed. You will be waking up the way you just woke up. So be confident in it. Something else that
and fellas, if you're listening too, we'll part the blame for this as well. So I don't, we're not here to bash. We're not here to be like,
try to help y'all.
Yeah, it's just, for some men they might like that. My wife always encouraged her to just be herself around me, and she knows like I love her for that. So there's always that encouragement of, I'm gonna love you. I love you for you, right? And guys too. A lot of guys hide behind their money or whatever. So then you meet a woman that's like, all right, well, I want you to buy me this. I want you to do that, because you're hiding behind that image of I have money, or I have a nice car, or I have designer, or whatever. So it kind of goes both ways. But when you are genuine and it's like a genuine attraction, that stuff is a bonus. It doesn't really matter. So just keep that in mind. Not saying don't pamper yourself and make yourself feel beautiful, but just don't rely on it, is what we're saying.
Be comfortable being you. Another thing that women do that they probably think is attractive, but is a turn off, is women that don't want to work out.
Okay.
I know it might sound biased because I love working out, but I could speak for a lot of men, especially if you're a woman that intends to get married and have kids, is that a man wants a woman that takes care of themselves. You know, don't think a man is vain because he wants a woman that looks good. Even when you do get married, even after you have kids, he wants you to go to the gym and lose the baby fat and get back, because men are driven by looks. And for me, if a woman doesn't, and for me also is, especially like, okay, if you're fat and you don't mind dating a fat guy, then it's fine. I find it extremely annoying when a woman that is not working out, I'm not gonna say fat, but is not working out, have on a lot of pounds, wants a man that has 10 packs. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how do you expect to attract him? Because if he has 10 packs, that means he loves working out. Mm-hmm. That means if he loves working out, he's gonna be in the gym. A lot of,
he's seeing girls that's working out. That's what he's doing.
So I think that's the turn up when you are not taking. Let me just put it this way. I think it's the turn up when a woman is expecting something from a man that she cannot, duplicate or bring to the table. Even when it comes to finances, mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't be out here, all your credit card are maxed out, you have no savings, you have no money, mm-hmm. but you want a man that is financially free. Yeah. That is a turn off.
It's unrealistic.
That's a turn off.
To touch on the topic of working out, right? I think it's just a mindset, right? I think it's a mindset of respect, and it's attractive when you're not only just trying to grow spiritually, mentally, professionally, but physically, right? And that physical growth can be anything. It doesn't have to be working. It could be yoga, it could be riding a bike, it could be jogging. But if you're investing in yourself, your physical, because it's actually healthy to do that. And there's some scriptures that I don't know them off the top of my head, but it actually encourages it, and God promotes that. So if you're not well-rounded, if you're not investing in that, it could be a turnoff. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to look like what we see on the screen, because most of that stuff is fake. We're not mm-hmm. asking you to look like that, or this brother's not asking you to look like that, but he's basically saying you should really just invest in your health in whatever way. That could be dieting, that could be walking around, that could be something that makes you feel better physically and it helps you healthy. Then that's something that it counts.
Let me ask you guys a question. What is your take on women that get their body done? Is that a turn off or a turn on for y'all?
To be honest,
well, you're married.
Yeah, so I can't. But
if you were single, when you were single, would you date a woman?
So hypothetically, right? If there was someone I met that felt she needed to do things to her physical to get attention or to feel better, I'm not saying I would feel bad for that person, but I would really want to get to the root of why that person took the steps they did to get there. What caused that trauma? What caused that mindset to feel okay, I'm not worthy enough, so I need to go do X, Y, and Z. So
do you think they do it because most guys, I've met guys that did their bodies, and you will hear them say things like, I did it for me. I didn't do it for nobody else. I didn't do it for a man. I did it for me. So do you think it's from a place of...
That's a turn-off, though.
Huh? That's a turn-off for you?
Because you're not considering who you are doing it for, who you really should be doing it for. If you're doing something like that, it should be to get your mate. If you are to do something like that, you should be considering who would want to date me from this point. It shouldn't just be something I do selfishly for myself because it looks nice or it makes me feel better. You have to consider all things. And then who are you really attracting when you do something like that? Most, high value men, if you want to put it like that, they're probably not going to date women with BBLs and stuff like that. They might hook up.
That line right there, I think is important. For me, I personally, I think we should encourage people to be comfortable in the body that God has given them. Mm-hmm. You could go to the gym, try to work on it as much as you can, but when you have to go and physically try to alter something that God gave you, I think for me is a turnoff. Yeah, I want to understand why you did it and blah, and I just hope, for me, when I meet people that did their body, for me, I just hope they didn't do it thinking that it would make them find a husband. Because like he said, you will always have guys that want to smash. You will always find guys that just want to hook up. But as a woman, that's not what you're looking for. You're not looking for a man that will get mesmerized by just your physical looks. Because the goal is not just to have a man give you a temporary satisfaction. The goal is to build a lifetime with a man. And most men, I'm not gonna speak for all men, but I from what I've spoken, from the men that I've spoken to, from what I've read, most men will probably hook up with a woman that did their body. But the conversation I've had with most men, they wouldn't marry a woman that went and got her body done.
And then again, it goes back to what you're looking for, right? If you're a man after God's heart and you're a man after certain principles, then that stuff doesn't even matter. So if you're a woman after God's heart, or you're a woman that's, that knows that beauty is fleeting anyway. So if you do that, if you do those things, right, it just goes back to what you attract and what you want. So, if we circle back to, being a Christian or walking or trying to have all these things in a faith and doing things God's way, the stuff doesn't really matter, So, ladies, just keep that in mind. If you are considering it, or if you've done it, it doesn't make you less than for doing it, but just a mindset behind it as to what a guy might be thinking, or, because men are visual. I hate to say it, every man is not like, all right, I'm going to look at her for her heart or her smile or her personality. Like, guys are visual beings, right? We all are visual beings. So if you have a man that's targeting that's looking for that, then that man is going to see that on you, and that's all he's going to see. But if you have a man that's after, that's trying to build something, he's going to know eventually, if I love you, I'm going to love you. You're not going to look like that forever. So that's not why I'm going to be with you or marry you or start a family with you. Then you'll understand the difference of, again, that stuff is a bonus. It's not really what the guy is really after. So I do have one thing, because I know I'm looking at the time.
Yeah, that's good.
I think one thing I personally feel could be a turnoff, and again, I'm bringing it back to the faith, is someone that's judgmental, especially if you're walking in God and you're trying to grow and you want grace and you want God to forgive and love and all these things, and you're not willing to have that heart. I think that's very unattractive, because this world is crazy, right? Yeah. Everyone is fighting something. Everybody's going through something. So just not expecting perfectionism, from the person you're dating, without giving it to yourself and expecting it from the person you're dating, or just being judgmental if someone makes a mistake or if they does something wrong. They're just like, how could this person do that? Or blah, 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 blah. We're all fighting battles. Everyone's growing, and we all got to stumble. So I'm the grace guy. Like, I always give people grace. Like, that's just how I was raised. Like, okay, like, you could do something crazy, and before I judge you for it, I'm going to talk to you. Like, what? Like, why did you make that decision? Like, what was going on? And I realized sometimes in a faith, we can, as Christians, we can feel like, all right, like condemning, like, oh, how could you do that? You're not supposed to do that. The Bible tells us to do this, right? Without really diving into that. So,
yeah. All right. So you said something that I really like, because, I hope people take this the right way. I've had friends that told me that one of the reasons why they don't date virgins or certain women in church is because there's this sense of, I'm better than you, or I'm better than them, simply because I haven't been given my body to other men. So, yeah, I do agree with you that when you meet a woman that is very judgmental, that for me, when I meet a woman that puts other women down, it doesn't even have to be putting men down. It could be you putting other women down because you think you're better than other women because you've lived a little more disciplined life than they've lived, where you don't have grace. Because what that tells me is when I fall short, you're probably not going to give me grace if you can't give other people grace. So I do agree with you that it's a turn off when someone is so judgmental, or when someone have that, for me it's just like there's no sense of humility and there's no sense of grace. They don't walk with grace. They don't afford people grace. I think that I do agree with you that is a turn off.
Yeah, I watched a sermon from T.D. Jakes, and he was really speaking on like a man feeling like he could be, I guess, vulnerable with a woman without her using it against him later, right? And
that's a good point.
That's a good point. And that's a huge turnoff, I would say, for most people walking in a faith, because if a man loves you, he trusts you, you're going to see that man in a state no one has ever saw him in, vulnerable, crying, whatever it is. You're going to be like, wow, like, and that's a real sign of like trust and love and all that stuff. So if you have a judgmental spirit, that's going to prevent that man from being that way to you, which is not by God's design at all. So, when the two become one, you want to be able to do all of those things together. You want to be that partner that, all right, ultimate trust. Listen, all right, you might not want to hear this, but this is how I'm feeling today. This is what happened today. And expect your partner to receive it and to love you and whatever moment it is or whatever you need in that moment, what you need in that moment. So just keep that in mind, that judgmental spirit. In the Bible, tons of scriptures on that. God does not like that. So keep that in mind.
One thing that you said that I wanted to kind of highlight is men already struggle being vulnerable. Like, most men, I'm not saying all men, most men struggle being vulnerable. So if a man opens up and you use his wounds against him, how can he ever open up again? You are literally discouraging him from opening up and sometimes it happens when you're sharing it, it's sweet. Oh, babe, they are so sweet. But let's say you guys get into an argument. They're now throwing everything you told them in a moment of vulnerability and privacy. They are now using it against you and throwing it back in your face.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a turn of a woman that, I agree with that. So I did an episode, I talked about wife qualities, and I said body count matters, right? I'm going to kind of polish it a little bit, that way people are not too offended. So I think for a godly man, a woman that is just, I'll put it this way, a woman that have not disciplined her sexual appetite is a huge turnoff. And like my friends will let you know, for me, if I go on a date with someone, right, and you just out here having sex with, I hooked up with that person, or women have their maintenance guy, they're single, but they have that guy that they call when they need, that he's servicing. For me, I cannot take that woman serious, because if you haven't learned to discipline your sexual appetite, I can't trust you when I get in a relationship with you that if I'm not around, or if I travel, or if you're out with your girls, or if you go on a girls trip, that you will discipline that appetite when I'm not there.
What do you say to the women who's all for this liberation movement, sexual liberation of everything going on? What would you say to them? Saying, if men could do it, women can do it too.
So I don't even think men should do it. And I think that's the biggest misconception when I talk about body count. I don't think the man should also have a high body count. When I say women should not have a high body count, I did a whole episode on a Christian's perspective on body count. And I told them the standard that God has put for body count is 1. Literally, the way God wanted it is that your body count should be your husband or your wife, right? So I don't even think men should have high body count. So that's 1. And 2, I also tell women, the culture that we live in and the society that we live in, the man is going to be the one that makes that decision on who he marries. So he's going to be the one to propose to you. In most cases, he's going to be the one to chase you, and whatnot. I also think, this could be controversial, I also think our biology also puts a woman at a disadvantage for her to just be having sex like a man does, right? So for example, a man cannot get pregnant. A woman can. A man doesn't have a biological clock. A woman does. So you look at some of the biological makeup of a woman and a man, it's 2 different makeups. So if a woman just wants to be a man when it comes to sex, it's not going to be to her advantage.
Yeah.
It's not going to be to her
I think
advantage.
there's a lot of physical things as well. Even as we talk about things we think may be a turnoff, I think excessive piercings, excessive tattoos.
Why is that a turnoff for you?
Which one?
Excessive piercing and tattoos.
The tattoos is just, to me, it's very masculine. That's not a man. Back in the day, men got tattoos to prove their toughness, or maybe they was in the army, or showed they was in some type of camaraderie or something. So on a woman,
I don't know if I agree with that one. I don't know if I've never been a fan of tattoo, whether male or female. But I don't know if tattoo is more of a man thing. I don't know. I don't agree
well,
with
masculine thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's excessive. Not if a woman has like one
Yeah.
somewhere, it's not so bad. But if a woman has like both sleeves, I'm like,
That's not too attractive to me.
As a brother that has a lot of tattoos, I think I disagree in the sense of it being like an old school way of thinking, because even before, like, if you had a certain tattoo somewhere, you couldn't get a job. It was like frowned upon and things like that. But I think the way the world receives it now is art, expression, and like piercings or like hair color or whatever, clothing. So I think it falls in the lines of, you know, that, and also which kind of tattoos you get. If you get some really dark, insanely weird stuff, then yeah, okay, you could be like, okay, what's going on? But
just to be a bridge, real quick, just to be a bridge. Look, I don't care about tattoos. I don't think, for me, if a woman has a tattoo, I don't really care. That's for me personally. I don't care. But to your point, right? If tattoos are just a way to express yourself, then why would a job turn down a woman that have both sleeves
I ask you
of
this?
tattoos?
yeah, but like I said before, the stigma of tattoos, it's extremely different than what it is now. Like my wife has no tattoos
But
at all.
now, for example, would jobs hire you if you had tattoos?
Yes,
all over?
absolutely.
Like in the corporate world, and I'm not.
Absolutely.
can I ask this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever met a woman with mad tattoos who was a virgin?
No.
I think
That's
certain things.
actually a great
I
point.
think certain
though.
things.
That right there is a great point. No, that is a great point.
Certain things, how people, whatever they do, it tells you a little bit about them. So, as a man, and
a
I'm
different
looking
way to
at a
look at
wife, I'm seeing, okay, there's this lovely lady, but she's sleeved up, and there's another lovely lady, and she doesn't have that, then I might lean towards more because I know.
So what does the lady with the tattoo? What kind of mindset does she give off?
It's just.
Because the point is like, okay, you asked me a great question, which I never thought about it like that. You said, have I met a woman that has both sleeves as a virgin?
Or even one sleeve.
Okay, and I haven't. But for me, what the way I interpreted that question is, a woman that's willing to go out there and put all those things on her body is also willing to open up to other things.
Look.
So I'm trying to understand.
I don't want to be wrong, but.
No, y'all gotta stop this. You gotta, tell it the way it is.
Has she been carved up?
Yeah.
She probably been carved up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Look, people.
So let's say somebody,
Yeah.
hypothetically, right? Let's say their past life before they found God,
Yeah.
sleeved up, right?
That's a good one.
Then you meet a young lady. Now she's like, yeah, I'm in the faith, whatever. This was my old life, whatever. So would you still have the same?
Well, you're not excused from your old life just because now you've met God. You still got to answer for that for the rest of your life. So I'm still gonna have my critiques or how I see that woman because of my worldly life. You know what I mean, and what I've been through, and knowing, okay, usually the girl who does not have so many tattoos is usually more aligned with what's pure, and not necessarily. I mean, not saying anything against girls with tattoos, of course, but a lot of the girls I know with, the more extravagant tattoos or wild, I mean, they know thing or two about life. They've been around the block.
So hopefully my brother is not suffering from no PTS, no trauma, or
Well,
anything like that.
No, but what I was saying to your point, though,
I can tell.
No, but to your point, I do think I see his point.
I do.
Which I see his point where it's like, as men, they're just everybody jump into conclusion. I know people say don't judge. But the truth of the matter is that we all do judge, right?
Yeah, we
They say
do.
people make an impression on someone within 7 seconds of meeting them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the way our brain is wired to protect us.
You scan
so we
them.
have to scan our environment constantly. So his point is, if I meet a woman that have all these tattoos, even before I get to know her, my natural inclination is if she's willing to be carved up, that she's probably carved up, right?
But also, all right.
Compared to a girl with that tattoo.
Compared to the girl that's without tattoo.
I'm a thing.
But to your point, right? If that is her old life, right? Like for me, like to your point, if I met a woman, this is where I'm trying to build a bridge.
Yeah.
If I met a woman that have those tattoos, I get your point. That is my natural inclination to feel like, man, if she's out here, she's out here, right? I get that. But I also get his. Where if I meet a woman that, I met her and I have that initial reaction, like, wow, is she, because we associate, there's certain things that we associate to certain
Yeah.
things, right? Piercings, like you said, piercing. We probably think if a girl have more piercings, she's more freaky, right?
Most
You know, right? So that I will initially have that association, but then when I get to meet her and find out that she have found Christ, and this is who she used to be, for me, I will still give her that grace.
That grace,
Of saying, you know what? But just that I have to make sure that you are now a new, which is for me, and I think this is what women need to begin to realize this. We are not saying a man is going to hold you hostage by your past. We're not saying that. But what we're saying is we're trying to help women that have not made certain mistakes, women that haven't done certain things, to avoid it, because it's just a natural thing for a man to think a certain way when he's presented with a certain situation. Because for me, I think we always want a woman that we feel like is going to be loyal, that we feel like is going to be submissive, we feel like is going to be trustworthy. And there might be certain things about her past that might make us question it, that will now make us take a little longer to afford her that trust.
So I have a crazy testimony, right? So there's a brother that goes to my church, right?
Yeah.
He was a virgin.
Yeah.
My age. Never had sex. Was in the children's ministry, like high school. He followed all through the ministry, right? He met a girl in church that used to be a porn star. Changed her life, gave her life to Christ, right? So do you think he hit the lotto? Like, was that like a great thing for him? Like, all right,
Did he hit the lotto?
Right, like I mean, like in a sense of like, all right, like now, like I have a woman that used to be professional and pleasing people, right? Like now he doesn't have to question that versus her thinking like, oh, okay, like my husband has never done anything before, right? So it goes back to, again, like that judgmental mindset, but also that the power of God, the power of being reborn and being baptized, right? Like your old life is your old life, right? So regardless of whether you were this way, sin is sin. Whether you're a killer, whether you have sex, whether you lie, whether you steal, cheat, sin is sin, right? So when it comes back full circle to, again, studying the word, walking in the faith, just doing all those things, sex outside of marriage is something that the media pushes on us, but it's a sign of like, it's not self-love, right? And if you really understand God's design for sex and you understand the power of your body and your temple and it's a gift as pleasure for the husband and wife, you value it more. And then if you value your body more, like, why does this person even deserve this from me? Like, like, what is it called? Like,
So in that statement, then, wouldn't you, if again, just the inverse, if you say that sex was designed to be holy and is a form of someone that just constantly gives out sex without filtering it, is not practicing self-love, right? Right? Wouldn't the inverse be if someone is just out here racking up, getting a higher body count, getting bodies? Wouldn't that be a sign that they don't love themselves or they don't know their worth?
absolutely, 100%.
And I think that's where there's the disconnect. Because, yes, if you made it, most likely we're all probably, I don't know if your wife was a virgin. I don't know if my wife is going to be a virgin. I don't know if his wife is going to be a virgin. We don't know any of that, right? I don't know you probably know. But what I'm saying is I think sometimes the message that comes across when we talk about, like, forgiving people's past, it almost sounds as if we are endorsing the lifestyle of, hey, you make the mistakes. Hey, you have sex or you do this. When your husband meet you, hopefully you found Christ and you're a new person, and he has to look at you from the lens of Christ. And we don't take the time to also tell them that, hey, that past life
Might come back to
can come back. We don't tell them enough of that. We don't tell them, hey, look, that your husband might begin to pay for the life that you lived before you met him, because men have insecurities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there might be certain things about your past that might be a trigger for him. And the thing is this: most men don't express themselves; they implode on the inside. They don't let it out, so they just keep imploding until boom, one day they just come out. It comes out in a toxic way. So I'm with you. If someone have given their life to God and they've changed, you work hard, But I always give this example, right? Let's say you met someone that used to, like, I'm not sure if you guys watched the Tinder Swindler, right? The guy was swindling women of their money. If a woman starts dating that man, right, even though he's a new creature in Christ, there's still going to be that sense that, like, if that man said, hey, let me borrow your credit card, then she's going to be like, I don't know if I want to give you my credit card. Not because she doesn't want to see him in a new light, but because, hey, I don't know if this is going to be a trigger for you. I don't know. It's like, okay, I'll give you an example. Let me be wrong with it, because I know we're trying to be nice. I travel a lot. Like, every time I go to Miami, you have girls that are willing to have sex with you. Some of them are in a relationship. Like, literally, when I went for my boys' bachelor's party, you had girls I had a girl tell me, I'm in a relationship, but I'm out of Miami. Whatever happens here, happens here. She was in a relationship. So you telling me now that I meet a girl that have just been out here wilding out, right? Every time she, like, she tells you, oh, when I travel, I have fun, whatnot. You marry her, right? You forgive her, Christ, new creature in Christ. She tells you she's going to a trip in Miami. Wouldn't it be natural for your mind to go, hey?
Yeah, but then the question, the question, who are you going to Miami with? Why are you going to Miami? So
God's trip.
Yeah, but again, if it's somebody after God's heart, who are you going on the trip with, right? So it's like now, if she's going with sisters in the faith for a revival or some kind of conference.
That's different.
But look, you're missing the point. Again, you're with the wrong person. Again, if you're with somebody that says they're after God's heart and all these things, they're not going to do things they did in their past life. So if that person is like, yeah, I'm going to go on another girl's trip, and you're like, okay, you gave your life to God, you changed things, you know things like this weren't good for you, you figured out all this self-love and all, whatever, then you decide to go.
I get your point, but you're telling me that your wife can only go on, let's say, I'm not speaking your wife, I'm just saying, speaking in general. Are you telling me, let's say I marry a woman that used to go on trips and wild out. Are you telling me now that when I marry her, she can only go on revival trips?
I'm not saying that, but she will have the wisdom. I'm not telling her what she can do, but she's going to have the wisdom to be like, all right, I'm not even going to put myself in that situation because I'm a married woman. But
that's not my question. My question is, when she goes, you trust her. I'm not saying you don't trust her.
Right.
She's now a new person. She's a woman of wisdom. My question is this. Wouldn't it be a thought in your head that this is, every time, like, she's going to Miami, her whole life was, every time she go to Miami, she will usually, like, she will go out, there will, something happen, they have a good time, and she have sex with a guy or whatnot. If that's the lifestyle that she has lived for a while, if she tells you, I'm not saying you won't let her go or she doesn't have the wisdom, because girls are gonna go on girls trip, girls are gonna travel, they're gonna do birthday trip. Wouldn't it be a natural thought as a man to be like, man, I wonder if she's actually going to be practice this new discipline that she have now come into, or is she going to regress to her old lifestyle?
Of course.
It's just naturally going to be a thought.
It is,
no?
But you will go crazy that way. So 2 things there to unpack. Number 1, again, that is, if she says she's going somewhere and that's your wife and you love her and you trust her, whatever, then that's between her and God. So, whatever you need to know was meant for you to find out, you'll find out, right? So number 1. And number 2, also, again, if you are, like, I used to club a lot before I gave my life to God. Like, I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to the club, because I know what's in the club. I know what happens. So then my wife is going to look at me like, you changed, you know the temptation in that environment.
Exactly.
Why would you put yourself in that environment?
Exactly.
So the question is, why would your girl or wife even want to put themselves in that situation? It shouldn't even be a thought. Excuse me. Shouldn't even be a thought.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not.
It shouldn't be a thought. Am I wrong? Am I wrong here? Like the mindset?
No, you're 100% right. That's what I mean. Yeah. A woman that have changed, right? She wouldn't even want to put herself in that position. 100%. But you have a lot of these women that still do like this whole trip thing. I know you'd say you hope she knew. Okay, going on a trip is a vulnerable thing for me. But these women, they don't think about their triggers. Because again, if a woman have had so many bodies, that means she have probably so many triggers, right? So for me, I'm not saying the man should make her a prisoner of her past. Yeah. All I'm saying is, this is for me, when I talk about body count, it is an encouragement for women to, number 1, if you're currently having sex, stop if you're not married. And then if you're not having sex as a woman, don't add any more body. Right. For me, I'm not talking about the ones that already did it. We hope you find someone that is mature enough in the faith to give you that grace. But if you are single, you should start practicing that discipline because it might be a problem down the road. Because I'm not an advocate for whatever you've done in the past. You're a new creature. Because look, if I'm being honest, I'm a man. There are things that I've done in the past that those thoughts, the Bible says, the weapon of our warfare is not carnal. It is mighty through God, through what? Pulling down what? Strongholds, casting down imaginations, and bringing into captivity every thought that is against the word of God. So all those three areas, strongholds, have to do with the mind. Imagination, nations of images, all the images in your head, all the porn you've watched, all the sex you've had, all the things you've seen, all the twerking you've watched, the nation of images in your head. Every thought. Sometimes you could be in a relationship and there could be a trigger, a thought that just, I don't want to be unfaithful to my woman, but I still have those thoughts.
100%.
So let's not act like with people that have had crazy body count, they're going to go cold turkey and not think about their past life again.
I'm not promoting
Yeah.
that. It's just I'm just saying it's the wisdom, and you get that wisdom from God. You get that wisdom from God's word. You get that wisdom from the people that's around you. So having the wisdom of knowing, okay, I'm not going to go on a trip with my girlfriends that I used to party with because now I know what kind of energy that brings. So her having the wisdom of not putting herself in that situation. Not saying she won't get tempted, but knowing like, okay, I know if I'm in a situation, same thing for guys. Like there's certain friends I just don't hang out with no more because I know what these guys are after. So me, if they call me and say, hey, let's go watch the game or something, I'm like, all right, you know what? Me having the wisdom of going, all right, I can't, I'm not going to hang out with you. Yeah, because I know it's going to put me in a weird position.
But let's say she didn't have the wisdom, right? And she wanted to go on a trip with her girls. And you tell her, hey, babe, like.
Is this your girlfriend or your wife?
Your wife.
Okay.
You married her.
Right.
But let's say even if she's the one you are considering to marry.
Yeah.
And this is the lifestyle that she used to live, and you're like, hey, I don't think you should go on a trip with those girls because every time you've gone on a trip with them, crazy things ended up happening. Women are gonna tell you you're trying to control her.
That's where you got to get other women involved, bro.
Okay.
That's where you gotta get help, man. You gotta call some sisters like, yo, listen, like talk to her because she don't. Maybe she gonna understand it from you.
How complicated this becomes? All of this we can avoid if she just lived a disciplined life.
Yeah, but it's
Well,
hard.
you could just
It's
get
hard.
a woman who submits to you too. Like if your woman submits to you and you tell her, I don't want you to go to Miami, and you give her your reasons why, and you explain, yo, I'm insecure with this or not comfortable with that. I believe a woman who submits to you is going to comfort you in that sense. And sometimes submission could just be comforting your partner and maybe relinquishing what you want to do to make the relationship stronger as a whole. And it also comes down to practicing discernment. Like just because a woman has the tattoos and she's trying to come back to God, doesn't mean I won't necessarily rule her off, but I'm gonna practice discernment. I'm gonna take my time and getting to know her, making sure she's at that point. Is she serious or is it just chat? Because obviously I am judging the book by the cover at first. But then as I'm scrolling through the pages of the book, now I'm finding out, okay, that happened because of this, and you're repenting because of that. Then I can forgive you, but it takes discernment on both parts too.
And it takes
like
time.
Her own discernment. I met you. You know what I mean? We did what we did in Miami. So why would I then let you go to Miami wilding out? Like you have to also have the same wisdom, discernment, whatever, that you need to say, wait, am I approaching this relationship from the proper mindset instead of just thinking about myself? Because at that point, if your woman still decides to go to Miami, she's only thinking about herself. You can't be thinking about the relationship. And that's when it comes down to being a good leader as a man. Like I think 99% of the problems in a relation happens because of the man, whether it's either because he's not a good leader or he picked the wrong woman. But I think when men can take accountability, it allows them to be better leaders and then therefore pick better followers. Like sometimes we try to make someone follow us who has no business even being in our tribe or in our pack. You got to find the person who's right for you, who's willing to submit. You shouldn't be trying to get a woman to submit. You should find a submissive woman.
I like that. Don't try to get a woman to submit. Find a submissive woman. I like that. I mean, I think we touched on a lot of things, and I think they have been healthy back and forth. But overall, I think if there's one thing that we're saying is number one, men, we give grace. We give grace, but also women, understand that, like, there will be less battles to fight if you start fighting that battle when you are single. You know, before you find us, if you start fighting that battle of discipline on your own, that will be less battle for us to fight. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't want to fight battles. We're always going to fight battles, but the less baggage you bring, even better. Even better. And that's my encouragement to both men and women. The more you work on yourself before you meet your life partner, the less battles you guys will have to fight. When you guys come together, you guys can focus on fighting all the battles that will move you guys forward and not, stuck in the past. All right, we have like 2 minutes. If there's any turn up that we haven't said, let's drop it real quick so we can close out. If there's any, I think we touched on a lot. We touched on a lot. But if there's any closing statement, any last remark, anything you got to say to the ladies out here, something that they think that they're doing that's attractive, that is definitely a turn off. Anything? Any last word?
Stay in the word.
That's
and just keep yourself around people that are also in the word. You'll get all the answers that way, and that's attractive. So,
I just found one turn off that from what you said. A woman that have so many ungodly friends, for me, is a turn off. Before build on what you just say, if all your friends are out here just in the world and clubbing and doing crazy things, I don't know if I could trust you. Right. So that is the turn off. So all right, so have a good tribe of people that can hold you accountable. All right, so I have another turn off. Having a woman that doesn't have accountability partners around her. All she has are fans around her. Everybody tells her what she wants to hear, nobody tells her what she needs to hear. I think women need to get friends that will tell them the truth. Hey, you shouldn't wear that. Hey, the way you talk to your man, that wasn't it. Not a woman that have friends that everything she says, they agree with her.
Like followers.
Yeah. Any last word for the ladies?
Hey, stop doing it for the gram, man.
Hey.
Do it for your man.
Hey. Do it for Jesus. Do it for Jesus.
Do it for Jesus Christ, man. What would Jesus do?
Anyways, guys, thank you guys for coming out. This was fun. I think we did touch on a lot of things that I would believe if women actually listen to it with an open mind. We honestly shared everything we shared, not to put anybody down, not to judge anybody, but because we want to help women actually get what they want, which is a healthy relationship with a man that will love them till death do them part. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode. Please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow the Instagram page. Make sure you leave us a good comment, give us a good rating, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.